Avatar Fire and Ash, as of today, has crossed the $1.3 billion mark. It's been number one in the theaters for 4 weeks in a row and continues on its march. Now, it's clear it's not going to make the same money that Avatar or Avatar Way of Water did. That became clear, but I've been telling you guys for a couple of years that ain't going to happen. Anyway, but it's still already crossed 1.3, probably on its way to that 1.4, 1.5, maybe even 1.6 that I kind of predicted that it would hit. But now, eyes have been turning to Avatar 4, and by extension, Avatar 5 as well, as James Cameron has now come out and basically said in reports that are coming out that Avatar 4 is not yet a locked deal. He's saying that Avatar, this one needs to make even more money. It's already well profitable, but he says this one needs to make more money and that he's got to find a cheaper way to make the films. This comes to us from IGN, who wrote, in a new interview with the Taiwanese outlet TVBS News, Cameron stopped short of confirming whether Avatar 4 and 5 would absolutely happen. But he did say Avatar 3 will, quote, need to make a lot of money, and he needs to figure out a way to make Avatar 4 and 5 for less money in order to get the thumbs up from Disney to greenlight Avatars 4 and 5. Okay. On its surface, understandably, that seems kind of wild. Like, even this one, Avatar Fire and Ash, is already at $1.3 billion. Like, how can you not greenlight an Avatar 4? But you know what? The guys and I were talking before the show started today, and it's really not that big of a stretch. Because look, I believe Avatar 4 will also be a big moneymaker, but that it will be a little bit less than Avatar 3. And as long as you're starting to see a pattern of diminishing returns, I mean, it's still, again, we're still talking about the $1 billion club, but still, if you start seeing a pattern that as the years progress, fewer and fewer people are coming out, even if it's still very big audiences, the studio is going to look at the filmmaker and say, okay, look, our profit margin is shrinking. We're still making profit off Avatar. It's a $1.3 billion film, but it's shrinking. And if we're going to continue moving forward, and let's face it, Avatar are expensive films to make, man.
I'm seeing that 400 million. Is that accurate? Is that?
I've heard other reports that said 330. I've heard anywhere from 330 to 400 million, which basically means the break-even point is probably somewhere around the $700 million mark, 750, maybe $800 million mark.
Cross that, but yes, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, easily cross that. But that margin is shrinking.
Yeah.
Right? It's not nearly as big as a margin as it used to be. So Disney's sitting here and saying, okay, look, we believe if we do Avatar 4, it can make money, but it'll make less money than 3. We want to be able to maintain those buffers. We want to be able to maintain those margins. So in order for us to greenlight it, James, you got to come up with a way to make them a little less expensive. And Cameron doesn't seem saucy about it.
Yeah.
Like Cameron just seems, look, if we're going to do 4 and 5, I got to figure out a way to do it cheaper. I just got to figure out a way to do it cheaper. Now, I guarantee you, if Avatar Fire and Ash, if we were not talking about it crossing 1.3 billion, but today we were sitting here talking about it crossing 1.9 or 2.1, this wouldn't even be a discussion. We wouldn't be having this conversation about Disney maybe being a little hesitant to greenlight 4 and 5 without a reduced budget, all that kind of stuff. And that makes sense. So there's one other thing, Rob, that you got to throw out there into consideration. Cameron did not say it himself, but I have to believe that a part of this is also whether Cameron himself even wants to make Avatar 4 and 5. He's been doing this one thing for a decade and a half or more. He has been sitting on this one property and making these movies are grueling experiences.
Yeah.
Absolutely grueling. And as he is approaching his 80s, James Cameron is probably cognizant of the fact that, you know what? I've only got so many good movie making years left in my career. Do I really want to spend until I'm 82 or 83 years old making another 2 Avatar films, or do I have other projects I want to work on? Again, let me be clear. James Cameron didn't say this. I'm just kind of reading between the lines a little bit. Anyway, Rob, you see this story. Cameron is saying that, hey, it's not an automatic that we're doing Avatar 4, which sounds really weird for a series where all of them have made over $1 billion and a couple of them made $2 billion. Unless I can find a way to make this cheaper, what's your takeaway from this?
Well, I think a lot of it probably does have to come along with fatigue. I mean, there's 3 Avatar movies now. I think they're a stunning achievement, cinematic achievement. They really changed the way movies could be made. And I think another thing that James Cameron likes to do is he's basically, since The Abyss, he's been doing research and development for all of Hollywood. Yeah. He has been pushing the limits of what is possible.
That's what George Lucas used to do leading into the prequels. He was pushing all the technology.
And that's what Cameron really was doing, starting with, and he was pushing ILM on The Abyss. So it was, and then they did T2. And then, of course, when he got in, I mean, Titanic was a lot of they weren't as sexy, but creating like water that was believable. They did a lot of things with Titanic that was pretty amazing, using Massive to put passersby walk on the decks of the ship. And this is something that the technology created, and the 3D is masterful, but he's been doing the same thing, like you pointed out, for the better part of 20 years. I think he knows that he's treading water now. After these 3 movies, which are incredible spectacle, he's just going to do the same thing. The only difference is the story that you're telling. And unless the story is revelatory of some way, I mean, I love the fact that they came back to Earth and reignited our own Awa or something like that, but it's still going to kind of be the same thing. And whether he does Ghosts of Hiroshima or whatever he's going to do, I think he'd like to go out. I mean, like Ridley Scott, that guy could probably make movies for another 20 years. And I think he would want to. And if James Wan indeed could come in and take over and make the last 2, and James Cameron could produce them. And another thing that's got to be frustrating, John, is what people don't understand is how long these films take to render. Literally render. And I mean, each frame, especially at 48 frames a second with 3D. So each frame has to be rendered twice. And you have to wait. Part of the reason it was delayed a year was they weren't going to be finished rendering the actual movie out. You have to sit there and just wait because the amount of detail and stuff. I mean, computer technology is getting faster and faster and faster. But there's a lot of rendering that has to be done with these final frames, and it's an enormous task. So I think everything you said is absolutely true. And I want to see a new James Cameron movie, something new.
Yeah. I remember back when I used to work with a visual effects company called Satellite Studios. We were a small outfit, but we worked on some movies. We worked on that Sylvester Stallone car racing movie. I can't remember what the name of it was now.
Driven.
Yeah.
Driven. We worked on the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We worked on a few films over there, but I remember we had to build. A lot of people don't know this a little behind the scenes, that we had to build what's called a server farm, where we literally just had this big storage closet where we stacked up like 20 PCs, all with Pentium 4 processors. How's that for a throwback? Pentium 4 from Intel. And it was like, remember, we were rendering out 24 frames a second, and it was taking like 18 minutes a frame.
Yeah.
18 minutes a frame, 24 frames per second.
Was that a 2K?
No, that was just at 1080. That was at 1080. That was at 1080. And we were rendering these things out, and that we would have and every computer would have like 2 processors in them. So we were running like 36 processors or something like that, just constantly running. And then you get places like Pixar that will have like warehouses of these things, of render farms. So it's a huge deal for something like Avatar. It's pretty big.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp.
You know, the new year doesn't require a new you, maybe just a less burdened you. Most of us carry around things like pressure, self-doubt, or that feeling that we always have to be perfect, and learning to let some of that go can make a huge difference in our lives. Therapy can help you better understand what's weighing you down by giving you an unbiased perspective on your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in. See, BetterHelp connects you with quality therapists who are fully licensed in the US and follow a strict professional code of conduct. They also do the matching work for you. You fill out a short questionnaire, and with over 12 years of experience and industry-leading match rates, they usually get it right the first time. And if you ever want to switch therapists, you can do that easily from their tailored recommendations. BetterHelp is also one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, plus an average 4.9 out of 5 rating from over 1.7 million live session reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to match online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BETTERHELP.com/Campea. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Listen, Avatar Fire and Ash is an extremely profitable movie, but it's not nearly as profitable as the other two Avatars. And Disney's wondering, if we keep moving forward, will the box office continue to come down? If it does, we need to keep costs down. Do you think James Cameron is actually going to do Avatar 4 and 5? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.